Andersson. I am here to answer some of your questions. I'm here with my boy. It's right there as well. So, first of all, I want to thank everybody for sending in all these great questions. There's just so many, and some of them are too long, I think, to answer in this little short segment that we're doing. So I apologize to some of you, but they're really, really long questions. Hi, Milo. What do you think? Anyway, great questions. Again, Alan Brown sent a question on Facebook. What drove you to play a 4-string instead of a 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever? I am old-fashioned kind of guy. I started out with a 4-string. But I also have played in my career very much. Here, for example, it's an A-string. It's a Marten Andersson model. So yeah, absolutely. I just sort of a more old-fashioned guy. I started out with the old players that just played 4 strings, and I just didn't take the leap. I have 8 strings. I got 5 strings. But my day-to-day axe is usually a 4-string bass. All right, everybody, we're back. Sorry, we're kind of doing this as segments. As for example, my boy here was bugging a little bit, so we just decided to do this in segments instead. So anyway, so here we are. Question number 2. Angela Lewis. Curious about the chain that you wear in almost all of the photos. Is there a story behind it? Well, it's not so much a story. I actually got the idea from this guy. He used to have these chains on. I don't know if he still does or not, but and I thought it looked really cool. So I started wearing one as well, and now it's just part of my daily routine, and maybe on some level it makes me think that I can play a little bit like Billy. I don't know. So that's question number 2. Thank you, Angela. Appreciate it. Very good. Question here from no, don't go Milo. This is from Beth. She's asking if Mr. Milo here knows Swedish or English. Do you förstår svenska? Do you speak English? You know, he doesn't listen to anything really. So, and someone else asked me if I walk him with a harness, and that is a no, I don't do that either. So, and he does not speak Swedish or English. It's like cat language. Anyway, thank you, Beth. Appreciate it. For my sloppy playing here or nothing. No, we're just winging all this stuff, all the questions, and I'm just kind of picking them as we go along, really. Here's one from Jody. Have you ever dealt with performance anxiety? Well, anxiety is an interesting thing. I don't get anxiety when I perform. I get anxious, and I think that's what kind of keeps you going, because it's almost like you're going into battle, you're going into a fight, you're going in, however you want to look at it. So I get anxious, I get excited, you know, you get your heart pumping and so forth. So, but it's not anxiety as far as I'm scared to do it. It's more of a, you know, exciting thing. You know, anxiety is a wide thing, and I have dealt with anxiety in many different situations as well, and I know a lot of people have. But performance anxiety is definitely not one of them. Here's one from Johan Norman, Swedish. Will you come to Orminge in November and make a special guest appearance at Orminge's 40th anniversary? It's funny because that's the first music organization that I started with when I was like 12. And I guess they have a 40th anniversary. It's an after-school program. and it's awesome for kids and so forth. And I guess they have a 40th anniversary, and I would love to come. If someone invites me, I will be there. Absolutely. It's in November apparently. So there you go, Johan. Get in touch with my people and set it up, and I'll be there. All right, here's one question from Rebecca. Name one influence on bass playing and my current favorite bass player. Well, it's interesting because I've gone through so many different players over the years. You know, when I first started playing, I started listening to Chris Glenn. He was the bass player for Michael Schenker, and he was a pick player, and he was just a solid kind of guy. You know, that kind of guy, and doing Into the Arena with Michael and stuff. It was such a cool thing. So I started listening to him, and then later on, I started getting to, this guy, which I consider now a good friend of mine, which is kind of funny, and also, of course, listening to Kiss, Gene Simmons. So, a lot of those guys, and it's all different little sections of my life. I think it's just what you're into, and, flavor of the year kind of thing, and you hear something on the radio or on a record or something, and you go, oh my God, that's so cool, and then you start checking them out. So, okay, here's a question from Ms. Morgue. What made you decide on ESP over all others? Well, I started out with, Fender kind of basses and everything, and when I started playing with Lizzie Borden, I went over to ESP on Sunset. It was just a tiny, tiny little shop. It was two guys working there. It was Matt and it was Todd. Matt is now the president of ESP, and it's, they're all over the freaking place. But and I just knocked on the door at 18 and then said, hey, I'm playing with Lizzie Borden. Can I have some of your stuff? He gave me a couple of basses, and obviously, I played for a while. I just came in there and I just, just burning rubber, basically. Doing all this fast stuff and everything, and he's probably going, I better give this kid something. So, they hooked me up at that time, and I'd be very loyal for many reasons. Number one is they're a great company. They're great to deal with. There's no drama. They make amazing instruments that in my little humble opinion, they're just with great customer service. I mean, they just every night I got one of my ESPs or two with me, and that's all I need. And they never let me down. So that's the reason, in a nutshell. All right, here's one from Rosencats, I don't know, on Instagram. Marten, how long have you been in Steelheart and want to continue in the band? I hope you continue because this lineup rocks. Okay, yeah, we're actually having a ton of fun with this lineup. I've been in the band since 2016, end of 2016, when Lizzie Borden went on hiatus. So we're... He's a great singer. Millie's a great singer, songwriter, and he's a really cool guy, and he's been treating me really well. Joe and Mike, drummer, guitar player, they're just great people. Tour manager Mark, everybody from merch people to management, everybody's just been absolutely great. There's no drama, and we're just having a lot of fun. So I'm not planning on going anywhere. Hey, here we go. Here's one from Susan on the Marten Andersson Facebook page. So Martin, will you ever be on stage with Dario Lorina again? Well, for you people who don't know, I was with Dario and Lizzie Borden. He's a great guitar player. And he ended up doing two solo records that I'm part of. Had a lot of fun. I can't remember them exactly today, but but yeah, we had a ton of fun recording those records, and he's now in Black Label Society. Obviously, it's a killer gig, and I don't know. We'll see. We actually wrote some stuff together not too long ago, and which might be some placement stuff, might be some solo record stuff, but he's a great guy and a great guitar player, and if the timing is right, maybe we'll rock out again. It's a good question. Good question, Susan. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, here's a question from Tiffany Hayes-Underwood. Who were your musical influences growing up? Well, it's very interesting since I grew up in Sweden. Obviously, it's a lot of British heavy metal. Judas Priest, Saxon, UFO, Michael Schenker. Obviously, some Swedish kind of guys, Europe and Yngwie. So that was my first exposure other than Kiss and some of the American metal artists. But I do remember Yngwie when he first came out, and I was trying to figure out songs like I'm a Viking and stuff like that, and I worked on it for like 6 months trying to, you know. Stuff like that, and it just took me a long time trying to figure that out. So, you know, that was kind of the start, and then I started listening to a lot of the Mike Varney stuff, a lot of shredding instrumental stuff, and that was sort of my next step in the journey, I guess. But yeah, initially it was a lot of Saxon and Priest and Maiden and stuff like that. So Dio, of course, Rainbow. Anyway, the list goes on and on. So much great stuff out there. So that's a good question. Thank you, Tiffany. Question from Miss Warfield. How old is Milo? These are bonus questions, by the way. I'm not sure they're going to help anybody advance their careers in any shape or form, but how old is Milo? Milo is 1 year old, and he's a Persian cat. So, what else? Ginwoodard. What brand of shampoo conditioner do you use? I'm always looking for recommendations. Well, I'm not sure that I'm the best person to get hair advice from. I just try to use stuff that doesn't have a bunch of crap in it. Just natural sort of as possible. All right. Hello. For the questions, all great stuff. I wish I could have answered more, but we'll do this again soon. And thank you, and be safe out there. Take care of each other, okay? Thank you. See you on the road. Milo and I are back.